Hey everybody, hey Phil, hey Marcy, hey Cindy. Happy Friday to you, if it's Friday where you are. We are just, I have a few minutes. I'm cooking some ribs because it's 7 o'clock in the morning. Let me explain why. You know how Biden has made everything else in the United States cost more money? And the rest of the world that doesn't have Biden doesn't have inflation? You know how that's going on? Well, that's sarcasm, by the way, YouTube, in case you're tuning in. Inflation is worldwide. Oh, but China only has 2% inflation. Okay, China's prices are set by the government. If you'd rather live in China with 2% inflation, head on over. Actually, they won't take you. Too many people there already. People, they got. But yeah, China only has 2% inflation. Also, our economy is set to do better than China for the first time in 50 years. It's not 50 years, but I'm just saying 50 years. Anyway, so yeah, I'm cooking some ribs. And the reason I'm cooking some ribs is because I went to our local grocery outlet yesterday. And we call it gross out. And grocery outlet is where like groceries go to die. When there's overstock of something, or it's a weird product that's only got Spanish labeling on it, or whatever. Sometimes they get Canadian products that got French and English for Kraft dinner. And everyone's like, Kraft dinner? What is Kraft dinner? It's macaroni and cheese. We call it Kraft dinner in Canada for some reason. And it's sold right by the ketchup, because that's what you do. So yesterday I was at the gross out, and they had ribs, pre-cooked, pre-packaged ribs, like barbecue St. Louis style or something like that. I don't even remember. Doesn't matter. I think they were $1.47 a pound. So big thing of ribs for $3. You know, a couple pounds of ribs, previously frozen. So I just bought a few and threw them in the freezer. And what you do with grocery outlet, if you see something that you like for an amazing deal, try it out, and then go back and buy everything that you can. Hoard that shit, because it'll be gone. It might be gone by today, but I figured I will cook that up this morning. Then I will go netsing and play netsing for a little while, and then go by the grocery outlet by the tennis court and see if they have any there. If they're good, I'll try one this morning for breakfast. Ribs for Breakfast was the title of my third album. I will go down there and check that out. And I'll buy all that I can. I will hoard. So if you're a rib fan and you live in the Pasadena area, watch out, bucko. Not that ribs are fantastic for you, but it's a source of protein, and it's delicioso. And for that price, can't go wrong. So I encourage everyone to be wise with their consumer spending, because again, Biden has set the price up for gas and groceries and everything else with the little lever that he has on the Resolute desk. Just keeps pumping that thing up. I don't know why. I think he probably thinks it's for something else. Let's see what's going on with our fucks and friends.
Can't wait to go and eat that food. Last week they brought barbecue.
Wait a second, Phil, you're at work and you're watching this live stream? What do you do for a living that you can just sit there and watch YouTubes?
And it was so good. We had plates of it here on the table.
Yeah. Oh, they are cooking up some ribs or something at the Fox and Friends. I don't know. I skipped past that part, but yeah, there's a guy on the barbecue here. Looks like he's got some chicken there, maybe. He's probably got a bunch of different things, but they're cooking up something. So not that I was inspired, because I started first, although this is delayed like 3 hours. So I don't know.
Right. If food matters, it certainly matters. And for us, it's noon. We've been up since 2. Meanwhile, at 2 minutes after the hour, the president did take a little bit of a risk. He actually did an interview for the first time in 4 months, not on camera, but he did it for the Associated Press.
Okay. Well, you guys have been yelling at him. Oh, he hasn't done a presser. Oh, he hasn't done. Then he does the longest presser in U.S. history. Well, he hasn't done a sit-down interview. And now he's done a sit-down interview with the AP. Oh, well, he hasn't done one on television yet. Why won't he go on television?
And he did it with a guy named Josh Boak, and he sat down and answered some questions. He seemed to have a little bit of an edge to him, but I guess he had a lot of pent-up energy and wanted to get his side of the story out. One of the questions was on recession.
One of the questions.
He does not think it's inevitable, although the numbers...
It isn't inevitable. Recession isn't inevitable. Right now, we're in uncharted territory. We've got inflation. We don't have stagflation because unemployment is fantastic. We virtually have no unemployment. And by that, I mean it's about 3.6%, or whatever it will be coming up in a few days when they release the numbers. 3.6 unemployment is virtually no unemployment. Everybody who wants a job can have a job. And that's amazing. We have more open jobs right now in the United States than at any time in our history. 11.4 million open jobs. We need people. We need people desperately. China, if you're listening, and all we're doing is like close the country. Don't bring any more labor in. We need the bodies desperately. Rather than complaining about the open border or the closed border or build the wall, right? They should be making immigration policy. They should be revising it so that people can come in here legally and do some of the work, which then enables citizens who've been here to move up the working ladder. That is the way it works. That is the way it has always worked. Of course, that's post-slave trade, because this country, especially the South, was built on the slaves. But when the Irish came over, they took the low-wage jobs. And the Italians got moved up the ladder from the low wage, etc., etc. Anyway, let's just complain about open borders that aren't open.
That are coming in, the Fed's actions might lead you to a different conclusion.
He said, you talked about a recession. First of all, it's not inevitable. Secondly,
that is true. Oh, the judges are here. That's early. Oh, they heard about the ribs. Yeah, you can have some, guys.
We're in a stronger position than any nation in the world to overcome this inflation. It's bad.
That is likely true. It'd be impossible to prove because there's so many nations. But yes, the economy is doing very well here. What? No, we have a recession. No, not yet. The GDP number may slip down. But the reason that the GDP number is low from last month, or last quarter rather, is because we are importing so many things, because Americans are now confident and consumers are buying again. Now, that has flipped around in the last couple of months. Consumer spending is slowing, retail spending is slowing. Suddenly, Target has too much stock, which means fantastic Christmas bargains. So, that should take care of inflation on its own. That's just my guess. I'm not an economist, but I'm usually right about the economy when all the economists are wrong. Not all the economists. So that should hopefully help with the correction. Raising the interest rate by 3/4 of the point? No, that's just going to increase costs on Americans. Will it slow spending that much? The spending itself is slowing by the panic that's already being caused. 50% of this country is basically consumer spending. That's how the economy runs, 50 to 60%. And when prices get higher and people start being like, oh my God, gas is $5 a gallon. It's never been this much. Yes, it has. When you adjust for inflation or wage growth, gas has been more expensive than this. And we survived. Remember a few years ago, gas got expensive. Everybody's buying these small cars. Oh, the Honda Fit. This is the perfect American car. They're going to make it here in the States. Everybody should drive. Americans are moving into smaller vehicles. And then the price of gas went down, as it does. And the SUV went right back to the number one in sales. And the pickups. And what happens? The gas goes up again. We're slaves to foreign oil. By the way, the oil companies, since the crisis in Ukraine, Russia, they have increased the amount of oil they are sending to Latin America and overseas. At a time when our country is suffering because gas is $5. You know what? Gas is expensive. Gas is always expensive. Not in the pandemic. Not when you don't have anywhere to go. But you got a job, you're going to have to buy gas, and it's $5 a gallon. Oh, I paid $180 to fill up my tank. What do you drive? When you say $180 to fill up my tank, are you talking about a literal tank? Now, there are families out there like my friend David. He's got a family, I think, of 11 kids or something. I think they drive a huge vehicle, either Suburban or a van. They need something that big. Most Americans do not need anything that big. Plus, you know what? Electric cars have been out there for a few. You don't have to buy a Tesla. That being said, electric cars are expensive. Used ones, not so expensive. most families could do with a gas car and electric car. Perfect solution. Drive the heck out of that electric car. If you need to go farther, drive the gas car. Anyway, Americans can only blame themselves for this. We're addicted to fossil fuels, and it's very, very slowly that we're weaning off this system.
Isn't it kind of interesting? If it's my fault, why is it in every case, and why is it the case in every other major industrial country in the world that inflation is higher?
That is not true. Inflation is high. Inflation is happening in most other industrial countries. Some are higher, some are lower. They're not all higher.
You ask yourself that. I'm not being
a wise side. No, I'm being serious. No, I'm not kidding you. These are Bidenisms.
a wise guy. Someone should ask themselves that question.
Well, you know, that's really...
He inarticulately said what makes sense, but it was untrue. But it is true. But anyway, not that, I mean, I like it when he reads an I instead of an L on a teleprompter when it's the same letter. Just one of the stupid things in English, that we have the I and the L. They're exactly the same. I mean, when you read something, or wait, is that read something? I can't, because it's the same word. R-E-A-D. It's just, the trouble is that we live with a language, we live with a language. I'm reading this all off the teleprompter, and I can't, it's ridiculous.
A good point that the president's making. He's saying, look,
he's not a wise guy?
We're the envy of the world. Our inflation is so much better than that.
No, he didn't say that.
That's apparently they're not telling the president what's actually going on. Again, we've seen this over the last year and a half or so. Apparently, he has not looked at the facts, because the United States, when you look at all...
No, and I'm not knocking the pickup trucks. People need pickup trucks. By the way, the new Ford Lightning is coming out. Plenty of miles out of the battery. Very cool. And by the way, pickup drivers love this thing. A friend of mine, John Volker, wrote an article doing a test drive. He's like one of the green car guys, one of the influencers in the green car spectrum. And he did an article about the Lightning, did the review, and the final thing was, this isn't really a metric for the Lightning, but when I pulled up to turn back into the Ford wherever he was going to bring the guy, there was a couple of good old boys in a pickup truck beside him, and they both gave him a big, huge thumbs up. America wants the electric vehicle.
All of the nations.
Hey, congratulations on being first, JoJo.
We're kind of in the middle of the pack. There are some countries...
I feel badly. I'm in quarantine right now. I'm out in the Stable Boy Studios. This is where I've been sleeping. I'm not complaining. There's an air conditioner out here. The air conditioner in the main house is broken. Producer JoJo has been sleeping in the main house because that's what you do. I've been sleeping in the stables. And this morning, I had to cook up those ribs, the aforementioned ribs, in order to test them and save money, really. I can't afford not to cook the ribs for breakfast. It's good thinking. Thanks a lot, Biden. What I do is I hold my breath. Oh, so to back up, I've been exposed to COVID. I'm fine. We're now on day 5. I'm still negative. I've been double boosted. I'm going to be fine one way or the other. I have not. I've tested PCR. The PCR test I took yesterday at 4 o'clock came back at about midnight, about 11 o'clock actually. Getting very quick at turning it around because the demand for testing has gone way down. And there's an outbreak here in Los Angeles. It's happening all over the place. I shot a video game or a short film or something, and last Sunday, my scene partner, tested positive during the day. He was kind of sniffing and sneezing. I was like, do you want a COVID test? Gave him the COVID test, positive, like right away. Gave him another one. I said, verify. Gave him a different brand. Gave him the Abbott brand. Gave him the orange box first, then gave him the Abbott brand. And yeah, both very, very positive. So far, I'm fine. And whether that has to be with a lack of exposure, although I was with the guy for a good long time, whether that has to do with lack of exposure or the fact that I've been double vaccinated or just random happenstance. Plus, my character in the scenes wears a mask, like a full-on face shield, like a motorcycle helmet. And so far, so good. But I've been staying out of the main house. Now, I had to cook these ribs, and I had to preheat the oven to 350. So what I do, there's a door to the kitchen. I hold my breath. Beep, beep, beep. And those 3 beeps managed to be loud enough to wake her out of her slumber. So I apologize for that. So when Joanna says first, she really probably believes that she's first. I don't think she's trying to be funny. She's sleep deprived at this point because last night she was up late doing something with taxes or whatever. I don't make any money, so I don't pay taxes. I'm kidding. I am kidding. Do not shut me down because of taxes, YouTube or something. Getting so many community standards copyright.
Countries like Turkey, their inflation rate.
I've never had COVID to my knowledge, and I test pretty regularly. I probably would have tested positive unless I got it right at the very beginning and was asymptomatic when there were no tests available.
Is 74%. But places like...
Wait, what?
Apparently he has not looked at the facts because the United States, when you look at all of the nations, we're kind of in the middle of the pack.
Yeah.
There are some countries like Turkey, their inflation rate is 74%.
Thanks, Biden.
But places like China, it's 2%.
Where the government sets the prices. Yeah. Places like China. Of all the examples, use Japan. Japan is about 4% right now. But no, China.
So for him to say,
man, Fox and Friends wishes we were China.
Our inflation rate is so much better, that just flies in the face.
Canada is almost where we are, by the way.
Of facts. Peter Ducey.
Yes, Saudi Arabia. All the Americans would rather live in Saudi Arabia.
Who is our White House correspondent, talked to the press secretary yesterday about why is the president saying inflation is so much worse everywhere else?
By the way, and you'll notice UK was not on that map. Their inflation rate is worse.
Because actually it's better in some places.
He says that inflation is worse everywhere but here. That's not true. U.S. has worse inflation than Germany, France, Japan, Canada, India, Italy,
China.
Saudi Arabia.
China.
So why is he saying that?
I think
What about Spain? Better than Spain. What about Portugal? Better than
what we are saying
What about Belgium? I don't know. Does anybody know what's going on in Belgium? What about Luxembourg?
is that
Andorra? Liechtenstein?
when you talk about inflation, it is a global thing. And it is not just about the United States. This is something.
I don't like Karine, by the way. It's not that she's bad. I miss Jen Psaki.
Something that everyone is feeling because
It's kind of like, you know how when Jon Stewart replaced the other guy on The Daily Show, and everyone's like, nah, he's not as good as Craig Kilborn. It's Craig Kilborn. And then like 10 years later, we're like, oh man, we miss Jon Stewart. Trevor Noah sucks.
of coming out of
People are starting to like Trevor Noah.
once in a lifetime pandemic because of the war that Russia has started in Ukraine.
I mean, a couple of things. First off, why you keep on bolstering Russia as if they're having a major effect on us? It doesn't even work to anybody's advantage.
Well, that's 10% of the world's oil supply being cut off. Yeah, so that actually does,
In this conflict, to keep saying that the sanctions you put on Russia are hurting us more.
And the oil companies are now sending more oil to Europe because they're getting better prices than if they sold it domestically, because Europe can't use the Russian oil.
Because that
But only if it's coming in on ships, not on pipeline. It's a ridiculous.
flat out is not the case, because we only get 8% of our oil from there, even though it's a global commodity.
Why are we not using the Jewish space lasers to take care of Putin?
So let's get this straight.
By the way, YouTube, that's sarcasm. There are no Jewish space lasers. They're Armenian.
The president was
That was sarcasm too. There are no Armenian space lasers.
totally wrong, and I believe the president, I think you're being very kind.
Conan was terrible when he first started, says at random. Everybody loves Conan. Actually, I do love Conan. He's hilarious. I liked Conan right from the very beginning because his very first joke landed so perfectly. His very first show, Conan's very first show, was there was a Middle East peace deal that, as we know now, turned out to be completely useless. But there was a deal between the Palestinians and the Israelis or something. I forget exactly what it was because it was 25 years ago, whatever it was, when Conan first started. And, Conan comes out and says, I don't know whose voice this is. I don't know Conan voice. When I was growing up, and and everybody said, you'll get a late night talk show when there's peace in the Middle East. And it just happened to be that day, the big peace signing. So it worked out well.
To him, Steve, when you say no one's...
Fallon, nobody liked Fallon. Well, some people liked Fallon. But yeah, Fallon was not popular. Now, I guess people watch Jimmy Fallon? I don't know. I don't really watch TV anymore. So Colbert's great. But we watch these things on YouTube or Twitter or whatever. We don't... I know very few people who still stay up and watch those things. They're busy binging something else. Been watching The Boys on Amazon, by the way. Fantastic show. It's gruesome, but hilarious. Which is the best kind of gruesome. The trouble is, though, they come out once a week, and I watched one last night, and oh my God, I hate having to wait another week for a television show. That's not the way television was designed to be.
Briefing him. He keeps saying the same thing over and over again, even when he's been corrected by the Washington Post.
He needs to watch the Fox News channel.
But I'm sure people have told him, don't say that again. China, Japan, Germany, Italy, France, Saudi Arabia, and India all have higher rates. And on top of that, it's not Republicans who are claiming only that it was...
Brazil, more than 11%. Let's pick Brazil. Most of South America, most of Latin America.
Your rescue package that we didn't need when you first...
No, we needed the rescue package. And the rescue package also includes a lot of things that are going to be fantastic. Broadband for rural America, the people watching Fox News right now.
First took office, that is the reason why we're in the middle of a huge inflationary cycle. It is...
By the way, I'm going to have to cut short the broadcast at some point because I'm going to take one ear off so I can listen for the Alexa telling me that the ribs are done.
People like Larry Summers and Steve Ratner, Democratic secretaries or advisors, that has told him at the time, huge mistake.
Well, it's just not... I was reading these articles about this morning, and I'm thinking the other networks are not...
Okay, but again, there are plenty of countries with really bad inflation. Oh, Canada's only 7%. Still bad. Still bad. Canada did not have Biden's rescue plan. I'll tell you exactly what Canada was. I actually have it here. Oh, I got it on my phone. Excuse me. I should keep this number ready to go. What? How am I getting texts at this time of the morning? Nazis in Seattle. Let's go find that and go to screenshots. And no, I don't even think there was screenshots. Hold on. Sorry, kids. Go to pictures, and then I will tell you Canada's inflation rate. Canada is sitting at, I have it. Hold on. There it is. Canada is, 7%, 6.8% for Canada. Bad. United Kingdom, 9%. Bad. Italy, Netherlands, the Dutch land, is 9.6%. Mexico, 7.7. We're 8.3. They're 7.7. Bad. Let's see. 8.9%. I'm not sure where that is, Steph. Brazil, 12.1%. Many countries, none of which had the Biden rescue package. None of which had the Biden tax credit for kids. Which, by the way, cut child poverty in half. And then expired because the Republicans want nothing to do with it. Stephanie was guessing. That's what we do.
Not going to cover the facts. They're not going to actually say that Japan and that China...
Yeah, other countries don't have gravity, Shelley.
China, their inflation rate, yes, it might have risen a little bit, but it's like 2.4%.
Why are you using China? Where the government sets the price? Oh my God, these people.
Those countries. In our country, it's 8.6. So when the look at this. These are all the different countries. Germany's high. Germany's almost 8%. Yeah. France
still
is in
lower
the 5s.
than us.
Exactly. All of these are lower than us. So when you hear the president say, "We're all in this together,"
yes, because our economy is much hotter than any of those other economies that we're looking at. People have more buying power here. Yeah, let's raise the interest rate, which makes it harder for the consumers, which is going to send more money to the credit card companies. What? Why? Doesn't make any sense to me.
It's affecting every country around the globe. Then the Democrats or people on that watch other networks, they might say, oh.
It's a supply issue for certain products, including gas. I mean, I'm at the point where why doesn't the government just privatize part of the oil industry? Do it. Let's go socialist on this. Because that's what they're begging for. Fox and Friends.
Oh, he's right. Okay. It's after.
You want the government to be able to set the prices? Seize the oil companies. It's the nation, so it belongs to the people. It's a natural resource of the United States. They have leases to take our oil, and then they're selling it back to us at record profits.
After the pandemic, it's because of the Ukraine invasion. But no, when you look at the facts, look at the bottom. Saudi Arabia, 2.3%. Japan is 2.5%. China, you said, was 2 point what?
Yeah, it's 2.3.
2?
2. And even 2. Well, here's the thing. The president doesn't care about those numbers.
So the graphics people were smart enough not to put China on his board.
He cares about his poll.
Saudi Arabia, by the way, their inflation is 2.3%, but they also have all the oil. And the government there controls the oil.
Numbers. And that's why he is asking refiners, hey, you got to up the capacity and get these high prices off of the American.
Why haven't we built a major refinery? Well, you know, the price of steel is really high because of Trump's tariffs. So there's one thing.
People's
facts.
facts.
Just don't reward yourself.
Yeah.
Increase the production oil companies.
That's what he said. I'm old enough to remember, I was a little kid.
I'm old enough to remember 2019 when they were producing far more oil.
But back in 1979, Jimmy Carter, the so-called malaise speech, where he didn't actually talk about malaise, he said the United States is suffering from a crisis of confidence.
What does that sound like?
Yeah, exactly.
Joe Biden.
One of the other things the president said yesterday to the AP reporter was that America essentially is in a bad mood. And they're in a bad mood because of the coronavirus. It's all part of the crisis. But then when you look at...
But we're coming out of that bad mood, and we're trying to spend 2 years' worth of spending in a matter of months. And that's going to drive prices up. Especially at a time when the boomers are now retiring en masse. And pilots, for instance. Losing pilots left and right. Cops, we're losing cops because cops don't want to deal with all the assholes. Everyone's a self-entitled little bitch.
The spending was with the federal government in response to the coronavirus, you know, and asked by the AP guy because of that great big...
Teachers. Teachers are being told, you can't teach my kids that. You're just a robot. Might as well go to school at home. Stop teaching my kids CRT. We don't teach CRTs. Here, hold this gun.
You know,
and keep doing it for $15 an hour.
All the money that went into so many different pockets. The Federal Reserve of his own government said that 3% of inflation, when it was back at 6, was caused by all of that spending. And that's why Joe then just said, look, I don't think a recession is inevitable because we might be able to get out of that.
He said Americans are really down. There's a mental health issue. I'll tell you why people are down. Gas prices are through the roof.
Yeah.
Inflation's...
They're not through the roof. Gas prices are $5.02, $5.03 a gallon nationwide. We've been here before.
40-year high. That means consumer prices have...
Again, let's think about it. If minimum wage, the very lowest of the low, if minimum wage was $15 an hour, which it's not, if minimum wage was $15 an hour, which it is some places here in Los Angeles, $15 an hour, that's 20 minutes worth of work to get a gallon of gas. Average car, 27 miles per gallon. If you're living farther than 27 miles, that you're, I don't know, maybe consider public transit?
Jumped 8.6% over the past year. It's steepest it's been in 40 years. How about the withdrawal from Afghanistan? Crime going up. Baby
used cars are coming down.
Formula short.
I've been watching the used car market because I'm going to be buying a car here in the next little while. So I've been watching the market very carefully. New cars, still shortage of new cars. They're out there. If you want to buy a gas car, you want to go buy an SUV, plenty of them. You want to buy an electric car? Nah, not so fast, but you can find them. But a lot of them are being marked up.
He's not even condemning the attempted Kavanaugh assassination. And look at the border problem.
Condemned it immediately. That day. Statement from the president. This is bad. But, he hasn't spoken about it. Joe Biden has multiple times condemned violence of any kind. Over and over and over again. Nope, not good enough.
The borders are completely open.
And that is...
By the way, he just signed a bill providing more protection for Supreme Court justices. Nope, not good enough. He's got to talk about it on television between the hours of 7:30 and 8:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Totally. So much of this stuff was preventable. The border is the most egregious and perhaps impeachable. But I'll tell you, the Fox poll, very kind to President Biden. He's got 42% favorable there. In most polls, he's under 40. But look at where he's been. I mean, he continues to drop. He went into office, and actually, it was 6 months into office, he was at 53%. A little bit before that, he was at 54%. But then people see the flat-out performance, and they're pretty upset. We didn't even talk about gas.
Yeah, so the same people who were saying you can't impeach Trump because there's no crime. It's a betrayal of the public trust. That's what the impeachment is for. If it's a crime, then the DOJ should take care of that. But the DOJ, during the Nixon era, decided, no, we can't touch a president. Sorry. I don't know why that hasn't been changed. I don't know why this Congress didn't march in there, said, first off, we need to hold presidents accountable, and we're happy to do it. And Biden should have campaigned on that. Yeah, if I'm going to absolutely hold me accountable. No one is above the law except Donald Trump.
Gas prices, berating the oil companies. Finally, Exxon answers and lets him know exactly what he could do to get these things down and let us drill. And what's his...
Yeah, you can drill. We're now doing federal leases on land again. It's not the right words in the right order, but they're there.
Name, the new press secretary comes out and says, we are not need to drill here, we'll just refine.
We are not need to drill here. Again, not the right words. Right. Oh, this is Paulsboro. What up, Paulsboro? $5.09. I thought it would be much more than that. Good job, Paulsboro. Wow, it's a good deal.
Other people's oil, right. That's incredible. So if you look at individual...
Or is that $5.89? No, I think it's just $5.09.
Individual things that the President Biden has done. Now, think about this. President Biden's got this job. He's got a compliant press. He had a recovering economy. He
apparently does not have a compliant press because you keep showing clips of the press yelling at him questions which he's not answering because he's having a conversation with somebody. He's just ignoring the press. There's a band playing God Bless America. I think it's God Bless America. Could be wrong, but let's just say it's some patriotic song. They're playing God Bless America. Reporters are way back there, back of the room, yelling questions at Joe Biden. He's having a conversation with a band right over there playing on brass instruments. And, Biden's ignoring the press.
He had a vaccine. We were looking at the back end of the pandemic. And even though Donald Trump is right now being skewered the January 6th committee, he has higher approval ratings at this moment than President Biden. That
does he though?
That has got to drive him crazy.
Doesn't drive Biden. Biden does not care what Trump's approval ratings are. Biden beat him soundly.
No malarkey.
The majority of Americans disapprove on certain issues.
See, you're giving attributes that somebody insecure like Trump does have. I want equal time. Fine, you're welcome. Come to the committee. We're going to do 6 hearings. We will do 6 hearings with you as well.
Like Russia, Ukraine, his disapproval is higher than approval. Look at those numbers. Border security, guns, economy, inflation. The majority of Americans disapprove of his performance on all of these issues.
Disapprove on the handling of guns? Yeah, because the Republicans don't want anybody touching the guns, and they think Joe Biden's going to come and take their guns. And Democrats and liberals are, hey, you're not doing enough on guns. It's not really a real number. Hold on. Alexa, how much time is left? 10 seconds. God damn, I'm good. Okay, guys, I got to wrap this up. I got ribs to take care of. Sorry. Duty calls. Yeah, plus I also have to take a duty. Oh, there's the timer. Alexa, stop. Okay, kids, it's been fun. Movie night tonight, and I know what movie we're gonna watch, and I forgot the name of it now. It's with Bryan Cranston. It's based on the true story of the guy who figured out the lottery, and ended up raking in millions completely legally because he was good at math. So we'll take a look at that later. We're doing movie night at 6 o'clock Pacific time. If you're not part of movie night, I don't know, talk to somebody here in the chat and figure out how to become part of that if you're not part of it. Anyway, it's called George and Something Do Something, and it's on Paramount Plus. It's released today. You can find it if you're interested. All right, guys, be good to yourself, be good to others, and honor thy heavenly Father.